Hi, Kevin Kirkpatrick, Cloud Architect here at Advizex. Today, we're going to go over a little bit about what's driving inefficiency in your IT teams. I'm going to break it down in two major categories, operational and organizational, and review some of the things that we are seeing with our customers that we think probably resonates with you, what we can do to help you kind of solve these challenges. So from an operational standpoint, we'll start with silos. So I think everybody is probably in tune with, your IT operations team or one of the teams kind of waiting on another team to complete a task before it comes back to them in order for them to complete their original task, to kind of move it on down the line until a workload, say virtual machine, for example, is ready for production, ready to get that application installed and ultimately deliver business value. Definitely a big challenge. Second one, patching and updating different systems and platforms. So whether that's the platform itself, whether it's the systems that run on the platform, whether it's physical hardware that supports the infrastructure in the environment, patching is something that typically, to be honest, only gets done when there's a really highly vulnerable security issue in the environment that kind of have to burn the house down on the fire drill in order to run around and patch everything. And then there's always some inconsistencies, or hey, because we hadn't been patching the system, we're having some other issues to get it to where it needs to be. One of the other things that we're seeing is configuration from a manual perspective of the different devices that support the infrastructure. So that's networking, security, a lot of the systems that are kind of distributed throughout the environment, manually configuring and having to touch each one of those devices when you want to make a change. So how can we better leverage things like automation to get to where we want to go faster? Another thing that we're seeing is challenges around manually managing builds. So whether that's server images, templates, pre-installed applications, a lot of challenges around what does that mean whenever we need to update one individual component, and then we have to go through the whole process of managing and repackaging that image or template, again, just to support an incremental update to one of those components. And then finally, from an operational perspective, backups. So something that is under the covers from an infrastructure perspective, not something that is, very visible in the environment, although ultimately extremely critical to the business. It can cause a lot of issues from a time management perspective. So a lot of these systems, especially depending on age, will be using legacy technology such as tape. It's very tedious, time-consuming to manage all that, making sure that everything is backed up, handling issues with backups with different systems. So a lot of inefficiencies within that whole process, kind of end to end. If we move on to organizational, one of the things that certainly impacts a lot of teams across almost all of our customers is context switching, right? So kind of a lack of clear priority other than, it needs to be done right now. Everything ends up causing a context switching issue, meaning, you work on one thing, you have to set that down before it's complete, then you go put out a fire, come back. So a lot of inefficiencies with having to pick up where you left off, a lot of lost time. Typically takes 20, 30 minutes for you to kind of get back up to speed on where you left off from. One of the other things we're seeing is a lack of accurate inventory. So this is really critical when you're looking across the organization. We'll use the example of a security patch, where you need to find what systems might be effective, having one place to go down and track and report against that is accurate, that you can kind of treat as that source of truth. A lot of companies, actually very few, do this very well, so I'm sure you're not alone. But having that inventory and leveraging things that manage your infrastructure to help keep that inventory up to date so that it can be trusted, so that you can report and accurately take action and make informed decisions across your entire organization and not just within a given technology silo. One of the other things is meetings, right? Paralysis by analysis, as they say. So a lot of meetings that don't necessarily have a lot of actionable outcomes. So you have the meeting, maybe it's daily, maybe it's weekly. What are we doing from an analysis perspective on the meeting itself, not just the content, on how much value is that adding to the business? I mean, at the end of the day, all these things, it's all about delivering business value. One of the other things that we're seeing is strategy, right? So lack of clear strategy across the organization and how we're going to deliver it all the way down to the operations teams. So whether that's a public cloud strategy and how you're going to leverage a major public cloud provider to drive efficiency, or strategically, how it makes sense for the business. Having that detailed plan that can be disseminated down all the way down to operations so that it's clearly understood, so that everybody can kind of be operating and singing to the same sheet of music, so to say, when it comes to delivering the high-level business outcomes, but also making sure that your IT teams and lower-level operations teams are maximizing their efficiency to align with the overall strategy. And then the last thing on the list here is change. And this is almost ubiquitous. It's overcoming the, well, we've always done it this way mentality, right? So, why do we need to change? We've always done it this way. Can we continue to do things the way we have and still deliver what the business is asking? And most of the time that answer is no, but getting to understand what needs to change and how it needs to change is something that organizations are kind of struggling with. And to that point, not just organizations, but those are some of the questions that everyone's really asking, right? It's why? Why are we operating this way? Why do we have these efficiencies? What exactly are they, right? So are they some of the ones that we talked about today? Are they different ones? Kind of trying to figure out what they are, and how are we actually going to go about fixing these things and driving an efficiency and delivering business value faster to our customers. And these three things are what Advizex is very good at. It's really what our bread and butter is. So whether it's assessments, planning, design, implementation, all the way down to managed services, whether it's a pre-built offering or something that we can customize for you, it's definitely something that we would love to have a further conversations with you on. So check us out, advizex.com. Thanks for watching. See you next time.